So down for me, the purpose in life is the 49 key. And that has to do with the shadow of reaction. And I want to get into that a moment in something you wrote about humanity at large, which I found very important and beautiful, which moves through revolution and then rebirth, and kind of having revolution at the core of the gift. So if you could tell us a little bit about people that have the 49 as the purpose, reaction, moving through to rebirth.
Yeah, that's that shows that the thing that creates, you have core stability, but then you also at the shadow, we have core instability.
Yes.
And so if you look at the shadows, you'll see where your instability lies. So you're going to see that reaction and what was it? Intolerance. Those
Yes.
two are going to fuel each other, because they're so every time you forget to kind of be, you're judgmental of someone or something or a situation, then you fuel that reaction, and the reaction then, and vice versa, so reactions are, that gene key is very explosive, 49. It's it can be very emotional and powerful in that way. So it's also very passionate, but you can see, because the gift is revolution, so it can create a huge change. But revolution, at a sort of unconscious level, just is reaction. You're just reacting to whatever's coming at you without much awareness. And until you build that awareness, then you can't harness the revolutionary energy, which is the energy that creates positive change. Otherwise, so think of all the relationships in the world, if people who have the 49 and they're not aware of it, and they're fighting with their partner, and constantly in that reaction, and it's a codependent relationship, and you can't break out of it. And imagine, for you, like if you had no awareness, look at this profile, the deafness, the reaction, the combination of these shadows is just horrendous. It's the same for all of them. Mine are equally horrendous. Impatience and doubt, and it's like you're looking at, there's a thing when you go to the profiler, I don't know if you've seen that, you can switch only the shadows on.
So I haven't tried.
Yeah, so there's a slider and there's a button on the side you can press, so you only see your own shadows, and then you're literally looking at, the worst case scenario of your incarnation.
Well, that's for someone who wants to get real really fast without the gentleness.
But you can do the same with the gifts, so you can only turn on the gifts and see, wow, look at what I am. Look at the genius that I could put out into the world with revolution. You're going, you do it, Regina. You create massive change in people's lives. So yours is, and it's rooted in this sense of, forgiveness and you're so unjudgmental. You've kind of explored so many different paradigms. And then obviously the rebirth that's a powerful one, because rebirth is more than just rebirth at an individual level. It's about rebirth as a kind of archetype of life. Mm-hmm. Is that life is designed to give, to keep on transcending itself,
give birth to new paradigms.
Exactly.
New paradigms of thought. And it is true that I have spent a lot of my lifetime doing that. However, that does not make me exempt from reaction in the areas that are unhealed, and we have these unhealed areas. So, and again, and it has to do with, you're right on, it has to do with an intolerance of something, where there's something that I have a bug about. And then when that gets tripped up, then the reactions come. And so that I've been working on also for my lifetime, but it still happens. So I just wanted to say too, when you were writing about the 49 in the Gene Keys book, you were talking about the fact that humanity itself, and we talked about this in the last interview a bit, that a new type of being is going to start being birthed into the world with new capabilities and understandings, beginning, I think you said, in 5 years, 2027. I think that's the same in human design. It's coming from the same place. And that the way human design explained it was that, or at least one person I know that's very involved with human design, is the people being born after that can almost seem kind of autistic and austere. The way what you're saying, however, to me makes more sense. And that is that this heavily reactionary aspect of human nature starts going by the by. So they're more in knowing and less reactive. The people that start incarnating after 2025 that will create a more peaceful, coherent world, no doubt about it, even if it doesn't look as wildly crazy and passionate on some levels. Can you explain that? Because now we're kind of done with looking at our profiles and looking at a larger statement about where humanity is heading.
Yeah, there are layers, as you know, there are so many layers in the gene key. So you'll look at your profile and you'll look at the keys in your profile and like we've just done, apply it individually to your life. Then you can look at every gene key as how it works throughout the totality of humanity. And so every key then has a different, a more collective meaning as well. So if you really understand that, it starts to show you, what your kind of higher purpose is within this whole framework of evolution. And so the 49 is a very important one for these times because it's part of one of the keys inside the whole of the DNA makeup of humanity that's undergoing a mutation. It's one of the first ones to mutate, and mutate means kind of transform, organically inside itself.
Yeah.
And there are lots of ways in which mutations occur in our DNA, and some of the ways are, often through increased atmospheric pressure, heat, so things like global warming and crisis and things that they really exacerbate mutations in DNA. And some of those mutations are negative, so they can lead to cancers and things. And some of them can lead to breakthroughs, and they can open up aspects of ourselves that have been dormant, for millennia. So the patterning behind the 49th gene key of rebirth is that baked into every human being, regardless of your profiles, is the capacity to give birth to a new human. And this is baked into everything in nature, because the gene keys are everywhere. They're in everything. They're in everything alive. And even the things that we don't consider alive, they're also imprinted because they're part of a matrix, a template that exists throughout the whole universe, 64-fold universe, space-time continuum. So when you look at one of these archetypes, like the 49, and you realize, wow, that's one of the first keys that's going to change in this epoch. Mm-hmm. You realize, wow, if you're holding that key in your profile, it has an additional kind of, it's going to possibly push you into a higher sort of purpose where you're in a role that helps bring awareness to that change. Mm-hmm. So which is what I would say you are. But yes, rebirth is something that humanity's slowly undergoing. And the predictions from looking at wider patterns in the gene keys, evolutionary patterns that span thousands and thousands of years, using the precession of the equinoxes, for example, is where you get to see big patterns over hundreds and hundreds of years. We're about to go through in 2027 a shift in one of those big paradigms, so, and that doesn't mean it happens overnight, but it means that we're in it now. We're very close to it. So we're in a transitionary phase where a new human being is literally being rewired and reborn inside us. And so, some of the predictions that came out of the human design world and Ra, the founder, were that new children would start to be born after 2027 with a physical mutation that would enable them to access that holistic consciousness. And it's all based in the solar plexus. So that's another part of the story. But, it's an awareness system in us that's been dormant, that supersedes the brain. And then so the brain is now our kind of main kind of awareness center, but actually deep in the solar plexus lies a much more advanced collective intelligence that actually has more power than the brain in a way.
Yes.
So that kind of, as that gets switched on, then a new human, a collective human, begins slowly to emerge. And you can see this pattern, like as at the same time as things collapsing on the outside, there's something very exciting and extraordinary being born on the inside, but you can't really see it yet, but people are feeling it, and not everyone, but some. So there's kind of both hope and despair at the same time.
I think that's accurate. Yeah. And I mean, certainly a lot of the people I know and that I have around me in life are feeling those seemingly opposing thoughts, but one's just ready to give birth to the other. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you might also want to consider joining Patreon, which allows me to keep all of this content free and available to everyone. And if you're looking for like-minded souls, you might also enjoy my online community called Our Neighborhood. Links to join are in the description.